Hi, and welcome to Professional Development for Presidential Ambassadors. We did this today, but I got about 15 minutes into it and forgot to hit play. Or I'm sorry, I forgot to hit record. So I thought I'd redo it because we had some good things that we talked about that was missed in the recording. So again, I'm going to redo this because I dropped the ball. All right, so we're going to talk real briefly about professional branding, resumes, cover letters. I'm going to move really quickly because we're having issues with our Zoom, and unfortunately I have to do the 45-minute free account, and so I need to not waste time. All right, professional branding. We talked a little bit about that in the 2 weeks ago when in our initial call. So just a couple things I wanted to hit on with that. Professional branding, and if you would like to watch the video that I did on my podcast on the Employability Skills Series, where I talk with Josh Wright, who is the CEO and managing partner of a firm that actually does this for a living. He has some really great points, and I love the story. What he talked about is having one story, have one story to tell, and what that means is like your social media. What you what you have to realize is that as a professional, you are representing the company that you work for. And right now, as a presidential ambassador, you are representing Florida Southern College. So anything and everything about you represents the college. So I know that sometimes people think, well, I'm doing this on my own time. This is my free time. It doesn't matter. If you are having it out there, if you are posting on your social media, then it represents the college. You are being held to a different standard than, say, somebody who works in a bar or who is bagging groceries. When there's nothing absolutely wrong with that, it's just that it is a different standard. So, whatever you have on your social media needs to be something that would put you in a positive light. So, have one story to tell. So, if you have anything on your social media, you need to clean it up. Even your picture should be the same. Like, so my Facebook, my Instagram to my LinkedIn is all the same picture because I'm the same person. Anything that I post, I would not be embarrassed about if, say, like my mom or someone from my church or somebody from the college were to see. And the reason why I tell you this is because, again, you are representing the company that you work for. And right now, as a presidential ambassador, you're representing Florida Southern. As a young professional, whenever you get hired with a company, say it's Deloitte, or say it's JP Morgan Chase, or say it's Polk County Schools, if you're going to go into teaching, whatever your major is, wherever you're going to go in life past Florida Southern as a student, you are representing that company. And you just don't have the freedom and the leeway to be able to post whatever you want unless you're in a profession that does not hold you to that professional standard. But being a student here at Florida Southern, leads me to say it's safe to assume that you are going to want a professional job after graduation. So think about that. Whatever you post on your social media is something that that employers have the right to kind of check you out, right? They're going to look at you. So true story, when I was applying to work here, they looked at my social media. I don't know if whoever's here maybe remembers Jovan Reyes before he left here. He literally got onto, Facebook and got onto Instagram and was looking at me. And they want to see, like, is this person somebody kind of on the up and up before we bring them onto our team? And a future employer is going to do the same thing for you. So they're going to be looking at what you have on there, and they have the right to either not hire you or to pull a job offer because of what you are putting out there on your social media. I've seen people go through this. True story. It was a friend of a friend, and he was posting stuff on there. He was a middle school teacher, and he was posting stuff on there about going out after hours. This wasn't during school hours or anything like that, but he was posting stuff on there about going out and drinking and then being so incredibly hungover the next day that, he couldn't really function well. And that wasn't even the worst of it. He was posting really derogatory comments about women and women that he had met and things that he was doing with these women. And it was like, I mean, it was painful. It was so embarrassing and so disgusting and derogatory that it was like I could not be friends with this person. My own integrity, my own morals and values would not allow me to be friends with this person. But my friend who was friends with this person was like, take it down, take it down, take it down. Doesn't belong on there. Guy was like, it's my personal life. I'm doing it outside of school. Doesn't matter. Well, he decided that he wanted to leave that particular school and he wanted to move. So he was like, going out there, he was getting job offers left and right because he was a phenomenal teacher. But after he was given these offers, and then the schools were doing their background checks and they were researching him, they were pulling all of their offers because of what he was putting on his social media account, and he was not hireable. He could not get a job, and we're like, you've got to close down your social media account. You've got to stop doing that. So that is a real true story. And that's the kind of stuff that can haunt you. So if you've got anything on your social media, get out there, shut it, excuse me, clean it up, shut it down. Only post things that you would not be embarrassed if somebody from, your family or your work were to see, because people will see. Okay. So again, I'm moving really quickly and I'm sorry that if I'm talking too fast, but we only have 45 minutes before this thing kicks me off. All right, resumes. Everybody knows what a resume is, right? We all know what a resume is. Your resume is a working document of your professional experience. As you continue to gain more and more experience, as you go through college, as you get jobs, internships, as you have different experiences like this right here, being a presidential ambassador needs to go on to your resume. Any club and organization that you join, volunteer experience, like I said, internships, any type of collegiate involvement, that all needs to go on to your resume. When you graduate and you get your first job, that's going to go on your resume. When you leave that job and get another job, that's going to go on your resume. And so your resume is constantly evolving. And over time, things will drop off as you add more things on. So, like for me, I have been out of college for, say 25 years. And so they're not necessarily interested in what I did in college because it's irrelevant because it was so long ago, right? So for you, it's totally relevant because you're a current college student. But for me, it's irrelevant. So that stuff is not even on my resume. My resume is going to look completely different than your resume because you are highlighting your college experience, your collegiate involvement, your grades, your clubs, your organizations, your internships. You are highlighting that kind of stuff. And then, any type of work experience. Whereas like I am highlighting all my work experience, my career accomplishments, my skills and the value that I bring. Both of our resumes are still going to highlight the value, but just in a different way. So keep that in mind. Your resume is always, always, always evolving. Now, several of you are on this call or that are watching this, you presidential ambassadors, you guys are coming from all different majors. So my disclaimer is that I work in the School of Business. So I typically teach students that are business majors. I teach the professional development for business majors. And when I meet with students and do appointments, it's for business. So if you are, say, a history major, an art major, theater, marine biology, pre-med, some of the stuff that I might say, you might have to tweak it. So, you're like, oh, that's not what my advisor said, or that's not what I should, that's perfectly fine. There's no right or wrong way to write a resume. There are definitely best practices, but there's no like say like, okay, you have to do it this way or you'll get a job. Or if you don't do it this way, then you won't get a job. That's not how a resume works. So you just have to make it make sense for your major and for the industry that you're going into. So just take what I say and tweak it to make it make sense for your journey. Okay. So we're going to look at some resumes, what we would consider to be, good resumes, bad resumes, and what I would love to do is have you say, like, have you pick out, and this is what we did earlier today, is have you say what's right with it, what's wrong with it, but we're going to just kind of go through this. So I love this resume, this cracks me up. So as we're looking at this, I created this resume on Canva. It's, maybe it's fun to look at. It's got colors. It's kind of cute, but as you look at this, there's so many things going on with this particular resume that it is just not professional. Now, again, maybe if I was going to be a kindergarten teacher or if I was going into something with the arts or something like that, it might very well, maybe. But to go is, as you see, I am applying for a marketing manager position. You see that in the top right. It just doesn't make sense. It's not a professional resume. Now I'm going to kind of zoom in a little bit here. First and foremost, my picture. All right. I would say do not have a picture on your resume. Now, it might make sense for you if you're going into the arts, they want a headshot. But if you're going to have a headshot, you need to have a professional headshot. As you can see, this is not a professional headshot. If you look real close, that's my child. All right, so him and I are sitting on the couch together, kind of leaned back and just snapped a picture of us. It's a cute picture of the two of us. This is not a professional headshot. So I zoomed in, I cropped him out. I'm not in a professional blouse, I'm not, there's no professional background. You can see the couch behind me. Definitely not a professional headshot. All right. Next, my email, funnygal@hotmail.com. Not a professional email. I would not go for that. Now let's look at my professional summary. I, eager, motivated team player, able to multitask in a fast environment. And I am looking for a management position with a company in a manufacturing industry. Okay. No use of personal pronouns, no matter what industry you're going into. That's just one of those unspoken rules. We don't want to see personal pronouns on your resume. We want strong action verbs. All right. And we have to have no grammatical errors, no spelling or grammar errors on your resume. If you submit a resume and a cover letter, which we're also going to talk about, if you submit a resume and cover letter that have spelling and grammar errors, your resume is going to get tossed. Couple of things that you're telling that recruiter or hiring manager. One, either you're uneducated and not intelligent, that you can't spell and that you can't form a grammatically correct sentence, which is not the case for anybody on this call. So that's just not true. So you're already setting a bad precedence for something that's not even true. The other thing is that you're too lazy. You're not taking the time to even proofread. You have to proofread. Oh my gosh, if you do nothing else, you have to proofread because the message that you're sending that recruiter or hiring manager is that it's like I don't care. I don't care enough about this job. I don't care enough about you as a professional to proofread my work. And that is sending a really bad message. So you have to proofread. Please make sure that you proofread, that you don't have any spelling or grammar errors. So there's that. Okay. And then this just continues on. So we can all agree, hopefully, that this is just not a good resume. We've got colors going on. And then even down here, we got some graphics. And in the call, Matthew brought up, AI and applicant tracking systems. Big companies are using that. You are potentially going to have to go through some type of applicant tracking system before you even get in front of human eyes. So any of these colors and this weird kind of template, this could potentially confuse an applicant tracking system, and therefore it's just going to reject your resume and you might not even get in front of human eyes at all. So you're already doing yourself a disservice by trying to create this fun, goofy looking resume because you're like, oh, this will help me stand out. Now, if you're going to just hand deliver it to somebody or you're going to send it in an email, that might be different. But if you are applying on a website or through LinkedIn or Indeed or some other kind of job board, then there's a likelihood that that particular company might be using some type of applicant tracking system or ATS. So your best bet is to go with a nice, clean, professional template of some sort. Okay? No graphics, no colors, no funky fonts. You need to have it kind of like dry toast, no jam, because that's what's going to bypass the applicant tracking system. That's what's going to make you look professional. And that's what's going to hopefully get you at least in front of human eyes and at least give you the best opportunity for a hiring manager to want to bring you in for an interview. Now, again, if you're going into something that's performing arts or something that's, going to work with kids or something where you need to have a fun and engaging resume, then absolutely this might be something that is better suited for you. But the spelling and the grammar, no matter what industry you're going into, is it's almost like the kiss of death. You absolutely need to make sure that you proofread. All right. So Megan Morrow went to Career Services and they said, no, this is a terrible resume. You need to revamp it. So that's what she did. So let's look and see how Megan Morrow fixed her resume, okay? So let's take a look here. All right, revised. Now we're looking at this. Okay, what's wrong with this resume? Now, again, I'd love for you guys to engage with me, but this is a recording where I'm basically just talking to myself. So my name is huge. It is right up there. It's like 48 point font. Now, your name should be bigger than the rest of the text, but it does not need to be 48 point font. It's a very funky font and it's red. Things that could really, again, confuse the ATS. Things that could just like, again, you're just setting yourself up for the potential that it's going to get kicked out of the system and it's not even going to get to an actual person. So we don't need all this. All right, I changed remember my first email was funnygal at Yahoo. Well, Career Services said that wasn't professional, so I changed it to partyallnight at gmail.com. And apparently that's not professional either, right? No. Gmails are free. You can create as many as you want. So this is not party all night and hotty toddy or, up with the sun. Do something with your name if possible, like your first and last name, anything like that. But you need a professional email of sorts. I would not use your school email because once you graduate, you're not going to have access to your Mox email. And it literally takes almost like an act of God for people to change your email and your contact information for them. So just create an iCloud or Gmail or Hotmail, whatever it is that you want to use that you can put on all of your resumes and anything that you're applying to. All right, no phone number. How are they going to call me to schedule an interview? You absolutely need to have your email and your phone number and then your city and state. And you should also have your LinkedIn profile. Now, if you have a bare bones account LinkedIn profile, that could actually hurt you more than help you. So you should have a LinkedIn, you should be active, you should be have it be a nice robust profile. If you need help with that next semester, Takara Graham, who is one of our teammates on Career Services, she does a fabulous LinkedIn workshop. I would highly recommend that you keep your eye out for that and attend her workshop. All right, the professional summary, I didn't change it, so that's no good. I still have spelling and grammar errors, but also I want to draw your attention to the fact that I say I'm looking for a management position with a company in the manufacturing industry. This is a generic statement. Hiring managers don't want to see generic statements. They want to see something that is designed specifically for them. So you are going to need to specifically state the actual job that you're applying for, not a management position. What is the position? Remember the first email or the first resume, excuse me, said marketing manager. So seeking, marketing manager, that's the title of the position at ABC company. Be very specific. You're going to rewrite your professional summary for every single job that you apply for, pulling out keywords and skills from the job description. You're going to highlight the company, maybe some of their accomplishments. Why do you want to work there? You can be a marketing manager at, several different companies. So why this company? What is it that drew you to this company? That's super important. To that you can identify and you can make some kind of connection so that that person is like, oh, wow, this applicant really wants to work for us. Not that just this applicant just wants a job, because that's exactly what a generic professional summary statement says. I don't care where I get a job, I just want a job. And you're not going to get hired that way because nobody wants to just bring someone on who is just desperate for a job. So be very specific and be very intentional when you write your professional summary. All right, moving on down, we look at my education here. So my format is all over the place. So for Kennesaw State, my dates are way over here and are italicized, but for Capella, they're over here and they're not italicized. Just those small little things, they make a big impact. And it looks junky and it's very distracting. Now, One, this could have been formatted correctly on my computer with my version of Word, but then as I save it and send it to somebody else and they open it on their computer with a different version of Word, it could mess up the format. So that's why it's important that you always save your stuff in PDF and send it because that PDF will lock your format in and you won't have any of this craziness. Something else too, if you look at professional summary, if you see that, that is not all caps, but education is, and experiences and leadership experience is. So if you need to have consistency, whether you're going to have it all caps or not all caps, just those small little nuances, they do definitely go a long way. All right, moving on down. For my experience, Florida Southern College, Associate Director of Career Services, Business Careers. All right, look at my bullet points. Teach professional development class. I help students write resumes and cover letters. There's that dreaded personal pronoun again. Worked with others to put on events for students, develop strong relationships with student others. All right. First, these are just tasks. These are just duties. These are just things that my boss told me to do, or this was in the job description said I had to do these things. These are just things that I had to do. There's no value. I'm not highlighting any skills. I'm not bringing anything to that proverbial table where that, future employer is going to have a chance to look at that and say, ooh, this is a good candidate. They don't see any of my skills. All they're seeing is the duties or the tasks that I was assigned. The other thing I'm going to draw your attention to is that I'm doing this is my present job, but I have worked in past tense. So any of your present day jobs all need to be in present tense. If a job has ended, then it needs to be in past tense. That's again, just something small, but it goes a long way. So this is still not a good resume. It's better than the Canva one, but it's not a good resume. All right, so Career Services said, hey, come on, Megan Morrow, get your act together. And so I went back to my resume and I revised it again. So let's take a look now. Okay. Now, this is much better. I think we can all agree. So think of a resume like real estate. First of all, location, 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 right? Here in the US, we read left to right, top to bottom. So prime real estate is, that's kind of top left, right? So I want to draw the recruiter or hiring manager's attention to, the very top. What's the most important thing is my name and my contact information. So yes, my name is still bigger and I did bold it, which is fine. But it's not red, it's not crazy fonts, it's nothing crazy, but it is big, it's bold, so it does definitely draw your attention. Right underneath that, my email, I changed my email, meganmorrow2022 at Gmail. Much better than Funny Gal or Party All Night. Can we agree? I've got my phone number, Lakeland, Florida, and then I've got my LinkedIn. So much better contact information. Coming down to my education, I cleaned up the format. That looks much, much, much better. All right, down to experience. All right, and I didn't add the professional summary because we're just moving on real quickly here. All right, down to experience. Remember the first bullet point just said teach professional development class? Now look at what I did. Design and teach a professional development course for 140 first-year college students focusing on developing essential career planning management skills. Wow, that is so much more robust and paints a much richer, deeper picture of what I do. I'm focusing on skill. I'm focusing on value. And then I quantified my statement by saying 140 first-year college students. So that new employer has that opportunity to look at that and be like, oh, wow, okay, 140, that's a lot of students, because they have no idea. Am I teaching 5 students? Am I teaching, 50 students? Am I teaching 500 students? Employers are really impressed when you take the time to quantify your statements. It gives them tangible evidence of what you are trying to convey. It doesn't have to be the precise number. You can say approximately. So maybe you're answering phones, you could say answer approximately 100 phone calls per day. If you just say answer phones, does the phone ring once every 3 hours? Does it ring nonstop? So if you take the time to try to quantify your data, they're impressed more with your effort than they really are with the actual number. If you increase sales or maybe retention or something like that, if it's a percentage or something like that, if you can quantify, it'd be great. All right, then I said I help students write resumes and cover letters, right? Instead, serve as a personal career coach for approximately 600 students in the School of Business to revise resumes, prepare for job interviews, and career research. Again, much more robust, paints a better picture. I said I put on events. So collaborate. As you can see, I'm starting each of my bullet points with a strong action verb in its present tense because I'm still working here. So collaborate with team and community partners to plan and host approximately 10 large-scale events each academic year to bring employers and students together to create post-graduation opportunities for students. When you are writing your bullet points, when you are saying what you did or are doing at your job, ask yourself, so what? So teach professional development. Okay, so what? Why am I doing that? What's the purpose? What's the point? Why am I doing that? Ask yourself, so what, twice. You will really kind of drill down to the meat and potatoes of why you're doing what you're doing. And that really helps you uncover the skill and the value. All right. Then I said, I create strong relationships with people, right? Establish and maintain relationships with students, faculty, and campus partners to present students with a wide variety of career-related events to network and learn about potential internships and career opportunities. Way better than just develop strong relationships. Because for what? What's the purpose? What are we doing? We playing pickleball? We, going out for, lunch? What's the point, right? So ask yourself, so what? And it'll help you really kind of drill down to that. So I think we can all agree that this is a much stronger and a much more professional resume. Yeah, it's not as flashy as the first one. It's not as pretty, but your resume isn't supposed to be. It is not part of your personality. It is just who you are on paper, your skills, your past experiences, what you're going to bring to that table to the new employer. Okay, so that is what it should look like. All right, we are going to move on next to cover letters. Now, okay, so cover letters can be a little bit intimidating if you don't know how to write them. People kind of get stuck and they're like, okay, I don't exactly know where to start or what to do or what should I include in my cover letter. I actually enjoy cover letters because I was given the gift of gab. I like to talk, as you can tell. But they're really kind of simple. You have to write a unique and specific cover letter for every job you apply for. You cannot get away with writing just a generic cover letter that you're just going to send out to every single job that you apply for. It's just not going to work because again, it's just showing the future employer that you're either lazy or, that you're just applying to anything. You'll just take any job that comes along, which that's not what you're trying to convey. So what I recommend is that you take the header from your resume and you just copy and paste that onto a blank Word document and you're just going to start from there. You'll always have the date and the name of the company that you're applying for. If there are multiple locations, you might want to put the address, but if it's just one location, they know where they work. And then you're going to have dear, and who are you sending this resume and cover letter to? If in the job description it says, or in the job posting it says, send it to Megan Morrow, send it to John Smith, or whatever, then you can just say, Dear Megan Morrow, Dear John Smith. But if you don't know, and I would say 9 times out of 10, you're not going to know. So Dear Hiring Manager is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Dear Hiring Manager works great. Stay away from To Whom It May Concern or Dear Sir or Madam. It's just outdated. It makes you look unprofessional. So dear hiring manager is great. And then you're going to have about, I would say about 4 paragraphs are kind of ideal. Your cover letter should not be more than a page, and it needs to be a little bit more than a half a page. So kind of like that sweet spot is about 3/4 of a page. So the first paragraph is going to be, it's your introduction, but you're just going to dive right into it. You're going to identify the job that you are applying for. Dear hiring manager, I was very excited to see the business analyst position at ABC Company come available. Easy peasy. Whatever it is, what job are you applying for? What is the name of the company? You've got to have that in there. You've got to identify the job and the company. And then you have to actually make some kind of connection. Why are you applying at this company? I can be a business analyst at any company. Why is it this company? So, for example, when I applied at Florida Southern, I have lived in Lakeland since 2010. I'm very familiar with Lakeland. This is my home. This is the community that I'm raising my children in. I used to coach swimming across the lake at the country club over there, and I coach swimming for the high schools that I taught at. My kids have swam, like my personal kids and my students have swam. We used to come over here to this campus to swim as swim meets. So I know Florida Southern really well. I've just been, enmeshed in Florida Southern well before I ever became an employee here, well before I became a professor here. So when they asked me, why do you want to work here? Which they're going to ask you that in a job. In an interview. I've never once had an interview where they didn't ask me, why do you want to work here, or why should we hire you? There's going to be 2 questions that they're going to ask you for sure. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about, I think, in another professional development is like how to answer interview questions. But why are you going to work here? What is the connection? What drew me? And so it wasn't hard for me to come up with that answer because for me, it was the truth. But I happen to know that Florida Southern they take it's really important to them that they keep their talent local. They are very, 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 words are hard, sorry. They are very, very active in the Lakeland and surrounding communities. And, they contribute to the Lakeland community. We have a very heavy presence in the Lakeland community. And, we work out there, we do good things in the community. When there's so many alumni that, are local business owners around here. People contribute to Florida Southern. Florida Southern contributes out to the community. Like I said, I'm raising my children here. So for me, I live here, work here, play here. I'm raising my family here. I want to be part of an organization that cares as much about my community as it does. And so for me, it was a no-brainer to want to come and work and be part of this organization. And so I'm really passionate about working for a company that has the same values that I do. So that was easy for me. And I need you to think about that same thing. What is it that is drawing you to that company? Make some kind of connection. It doesn't necessarily have to be, some sob story, or it doesn't have to be like, so deep and meaningful. Maybe they did something wonderful that, they're expanding. They do contribute to the community. They've done these wonderful things, in some particular charitable organization that is near and dear to your heart. Just whatever. Do they sell products? If so, what are they? Or, who's their competition? What makes them stand out? So that first paragraph is just that. You're going to identify the position and the company and basically why are you applying to it? What is it that drew you to it? Then you're going to go back to that job description and you're going to pull out, I would say 2, no more than 3 of the skills that they're looking for in a perfect candidate. What are the skills that they're asking for? Maybe it's leadership, maybe it's communication skills or problem solving or critical thinking. Some of the things you're going to look at that job description, you're going to say, ooh, I have that, 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 I have that. And your pick, I would say 2. And you want to back that up with a previous example of when you demonstrated that skill before. Okay. So I would say, after my intro paragraph where I identify the position and made my connection, then I'm going to say I'm a prime candidate for this because I possess superior leadership skills. When I was, now I'm going to pick something from my past. All right. When did I demonstrate superior leadership skills? Well, I just so happen to be the former director of the Leadership Academy at Lake Region High School. It's in the name. It's right there in the title. So I could say, when I was the director of the Leadership Academy at Lake Region High School, and now I'm going to tell a really brief story, a really short and sweet story that showcases my leadership skills, but I want to be specific. I don't want to just be like, yeah, when I was the director, demonstrated leadership all the time. I want to be specific in my story so that I can paint this beautiful picture where that future employer who's reading my cover letter can like visualize me doing it, can visualize me in that role, and hopefully visualize me in the role that I'm applying for. So if I can tie my previous experience into the job that I'm applying for now and make those two mesh, that's even better. So when would I be, using leadership skills in this new role? Let me see if I can have a previous example, a story from when I used leadership that would be similar to the role I'm applying for. And you want to do that with two, like I said, maybe three if they're short, punchy, really impactful stories, but they need to be brief. They need to be specific because, no one's going to read, this two or three long page long cover letter with like all this minutia of detail. You want to just get punchy, you want to get to the point, and you want to wrap it up. And then that last paragraph is just, it's a conclusion. It's like, here are the skills that I have. This is a good fit for you. I'm the obvious choice. When your job as a candidate is to make yourself the obvious choice. They have a problem. If this company has an open position, they have a problem. Their job is either not getting done or the duties for that job are being farmed out to other members of the team. And so people are having to carry all this extra weight around. You're the solution. So your job is to show that hiring manager that you are the solution to their problem. Make yourself the obvious choice. And then it becomes like a no-brainer. So you're going to kind of just wrap it up and put a nice little pretty bow on it. And you're going to say, with all these skills that I possess, I'm your best candidate. And then you want to say something that's really strong. You don't want to end it with this, oh, I hope you like what you read, or I hope I hear from you, or if you like it, or if you want to, that makes you sound like you're unsure of yourself. And when you're unsure of yourself, you're kind of sowing seeds of doubt. So instead, say something really strong, really confident, but be careful because there's a fine line between cocky and confident. So really confident, you're going to say, something like, I look forward to the next steps in the interview process. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to setting up an interview where we can further discuss my skill set. I look forward to learning more about your company and this position and how I can be of value to you. Whatever feels good to you, whatever feels authentic, because it really needs to be in your voice, how you talk, which is something I didn't say in the call earlier, but I caution against using like Chat GPT or any other type of AI tools. It's really tempting just to get on Chat GPT and say, hey, write me a cover letter for business analyst position. And it will come up with a beautiful cover letter. No lie, it really will. But it's not how you talk. And it's just not going to match you. And so, and they blow a hiring manager away and they're like, wow, this is a great fit. Let's bring them in. And then you go into the interview and then that is not going to match. And then that's a problem. So you can absolutely use like ChatGPT as a brainstorming tool just to kind of help get your creative juices flowing so that you get an idea of maybe some things that you could write about, but don't just copy and paste. That is going to do you a massive disservice. And then you're just going to sound robotic like all the other candidates. You need to be you. You need to be authentically, beautifully, wonderfully, uniquely you. And that's what's going to set you apart from your competition. It is hard out there. Matthew was asking this question and we got cut off because the Zoom kicked us out. But how do you stay ahead in this in a super tough market? Networking is really your best bet. Guys, you've got to network. You've got to network. We in career services, we put on so many events for you guys. We do our part by putting on all these events. We have, career fairs and expos and we do the mocktails and the mock interviews. I personally drive students for campus to career tours. We do guest speakers. We have employers table in lobbies. I have my employability skill series where I have employers as my guests. We have opportunities to do externships where you can go job shadow. We put on over 40 events last semester alone. So we're doing our part. You guys have to do your part. You have to network. Join, DSP, which is our business fraternity, the co-ed business fraternity. I'm in it. I got inducted as an honorary faculty member. Woohoo, go me. That's awesome networking. Look at who's killing it out there. Who can you find who is making connections and doing wonderful things and go, hey, what are you doing? Teach me. I need to learn. You guys being ambassadors is one of the best things you could be doing because on campus, you're going to be rubbing elbows with senior leadership on campus. You're going to get a chance to meet all of the people that we're bringing on the CEO 100 event. If you didn't go to that last semester, you need to go to it this year when we put it on this upcoming academic year. You guys have got to put in the work, and that is what's going to set you apart from your competition. When you can network versus having to just like basically cold calling and just blindly applying, you are really going to set yourself up for some awesome success. Go to every event you possibly can. Join clubs and organizations that are going to propel you to the next steps in your professional career. Yes, you can join the fun stuff too, like the botany cats or, Greek life. Yes, join all that too. Have fun, but also join professional organizations that have networking opportunities. Go to Chamber of Commerce events, volunteer, get out in the community, put yourself out there, lean in to the discomfort of stepping out of your comfort zone and saying, oh, I don't know how to talk to people. It makes me uncomfortable. Good. You only grow when you're uncomfortable. If you stay in your little comfort bubble, if you stay in your comfort zone, then you'll always be in that bubble. You'll always be in that safe space. You're never going to grow. Lean into being uncomfortable. Be okay with being uncomfortable. Truly, you'll thank me for it, I promise. But networking is really the way to go. The more you can network, the more doors that open for you. Be active on LinkedIn. Anytime you meet a professional, whether it's through school, whether it's through any type of event, connect with them on LinkedIn. Stay active. Those are your best bets versus just waiting until your senior year and then like, okay, graduated, and now I'm going to go get a job. Because guys, employers are not just lined up outside of the RP Funding Center when you walk out of there with your diploma and they're like, okay, we want to hire you. It doesn't work that way. You have to do the work. You have to do the work, and that's what's going to set you apart. Please pay attention to what Career Services puts on because we put on so many things for you that there's really no reason why you shouldn't be able to graduate with a job in hand because we do so much of the hard work for you. You just have to take advantage of those resources. Okay. That's everything, guys. That's resumes and cover letters. I'm always available if you would like for me to review your resume or cover letter. We do have career specialists that do by major. So if you are a business major, of course, it's me. If you're in the pre-health, it's Meredith Prokuski. If you're in education, it's Taylor Shook. If you're in any of the other majors right now, we don't have somebody in that role. So you're welcome to reach out to me. I will, we're trying to we're hiring that for that role. But you can reach out to me or any other people in career services, and we will be more than happy to take care of you. But use the resources that are available. Okay, guys, if you need anything, please ask. I'm here for you. If not, I will see you in 2 weeks at our next professional development. I'd love for you guys to come in person if you are, in town or on campus. If not, join the Zoom. We're going to get that figured out. So sorry for the Zoom snafu, but we're going to get that worked out. All right, everybody, keep being wonderful and being amazing out there. And let me know if you need anything.